VLOOKUPs search for values contained within a table and return those values to a cell that you have specified. The V in VLOOKUP stands for vertical. On this example, I have a table of values which has postcodes and an advisor linked to that particular postcode. So for example, SK4 has an advisor linked to it named Kate. Now what I want to do is, referring to that table of data, I want to allocate an advisor to each one of these companies. So let's remove this information and start from the beginning. The information I've currently got is the company name, the address, and the first part of the postcode, which corresponds to the information that I've got in my table. This table of information can be stored within the workbook, the worksheet, or a separate workbook. However, it's important to understand that if your information is contained within a separate Excel workbook, the two workbooks need to be stored in the same folder and should not be moved. To apply a VLOOKUP, I'm going to select the cell where I want the result to appear. I'm using 2007, so I would go to the Formulas tab and select Lookup and References. However, VLOOKUPs work in exactly the same way in 2003. I'd then select VLOOKUP. The lookup value I want is my postcode. I then need to select my table. If this table had appeared in a separate workbook, Excel would have found this for you. My third column needs to be the column index number. So in other words, what information do I want this VLOOKUP to find? Is it the postcode, which will be column 1, or the advisor, which is column 2? So I will put in a number 2 as I want it to be the advisor. And for exact searches on your VLOOKUP, put a 0 in the fourth option. The last thing to do is I need to make sure that my table is an absolute cell reference. To do this, I'm highlighting the table array and selecting F4. This puts a $ before and after the column headings, both the A and the B. For more information on absolute cell referencing, go to Biz and search for absolute cell referencing. Then click OK, and on this example, Apples Limited, 1 High Street, Anytown, the postcode is SK1, and the VLOOKUP has found that John looks after this company. Looking back to my table of data, this is correct, that SK1 is indeed John's area. I can now drag this formula down to all my other companies. So for example, Satsumas Limited, 8 School Street, Anywhere, SK4, has come back as Kate's company. If I refer back to the table of data, indeed SK4 is Kate's area.